What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Meran podcast. Today, my guest is Pär Hägglund. Peyben is a professional skier, a 3 times X Games medalist, and a member of the hyper-influential crew, The Bunch. He is a super creative guy, both in front and behind the lens. We talked about his 3 years doing X Games realski, making movies with The Bunch, and a whole lot more. If you haven't seen his 3 realski videos, go check them out because we get into details about many shots during this episode. Let's go. Mr. Peyben, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Stoked to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you could join us. We've had some technical difficulties, but I'm glad we can get this thing started.
Yeah, that's the thing. I want you to say that French thing that you said before. There's no easy ones.
Il y en aura pas de facile. There won't be any easy ones.
I like that a lot.
So, what have you been up to lately?
I've been filming or like skiing and filming for a new street project with The Bunch, and I was filming Alex Hackle's realski that just dropped today as we speak.
Yeah.
Or yesterday maybe it was. Yeah.
2 days ago.
Yeah, true. I have no perception of time. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing this winter. And then we dropped the Bunch movie, Is There Time for Matching Socks? We did a lot of work with that. And actually moved into a new office just the other day.
Let's start off by talking about the big news of the week. You dropped one hell of a banger segment with well, we call it segments because we're used to ski movies back in the days. But anyways, one hell of a video with Alex Hackle.
Thank you.
What is your reaction to people's reaction so far? How has it been?
I'm stoked. I'm super stoked. I've been doing a lot of work lately, like video work and stuff, and so I've been like pretty stressed out. And then Hackle just called me yesterday or something. He was like, "How you feeling, man? Like, if you want to feel pretty good about yourself, you should just like go in and read the comments on the video." And I hadn't seen anything yet, so
Nice.
it was nice. A lot of great responses. I'm super grateful for everyone just reaching out and telling their thoughts about it.
So you were doing a lot of non-ski related work?
Yeah, that, and we're like like lately I've been doing a bunch of video work, like commercial projects for sure, and like pitching new stuff and just trying to get the ball rolling. And we're planning like a big project for later this spring too, like kind of a more of a storytelling project with skiing in it too.
Nice.
So yeah, there's that. It's been a lot of work lately that has not been with skis on my feet, so I'm pretty itchy to go back to skiing too.
Yeah. Getting into the real ski part, the first thing I noticed was it really seemed like you guys didn't go for like in my mind, the real ski parts usually don't put a lot of emphasis on filmmaking and the whole cinematography and editing. It's more like show us your 15 best clips. Because anyways, talking to JF Wool, who is a judge, he was telling me like filming is only like 10% of the score. But first thing I noticed is that you guys didn't care about that. And you were just like, yeah, we're going to do our thing and focus a lot also on cinematography, editing, and putting a complete product.
Yeah, for sure. We did, because last year we did like pretty much the classic thing where, as you said, like 15 the best shots and go skiing for 3 months straight and just get as many hammers as you can, pick the best ones and make an edit out of it. But since we already did that last year, we were like, how can we switch it up and make it fun for ourselves as well? Because we don't want to do it like this year was my 3rd year in it, so I was like really trying to do something different just to keep it fun, you know. And that's so like from the beginning we just had a plan like to incorporate to make it more of a team effort instead of me filming Hackle. We like did the spot selection together, and like we really did a lot, like everything together pretty much, instead of like Hackle picking a spot to ski on and I film it. So that was for sure a big part of it.
Yeah, because in theory, there's no reason why you couldn't have both, have all the bangers and have some more of a complete product with cinematography and editing.
Yeah,
and that was the thing that I was talking to JF was. It seems like the only constraint for that is the time, where it's hard to fit everything in 1 minute 30 and fit in some more lifestyle shots, however you call them.
Yeah, for sure, because that's like the thing too. Like we tried to figure out how to do it, because like the regular way of doing it, like when people make something a video part like more cinematic or whatever you want to call it, people, they still film the skiing just like they would, but then they just like add on shots that makes it more cinematic, if you want to term it. But since like in our video I think there's only like one shot that isn't skiing,
Yeah,
and still people say that it's like way more cinematic than the other shot or than the other videos, and so it's like definitely takes a lot of planning to get like the shots incorporate the shooting into the skiing.
Yeah. Well, I think why people say that is that, one, with the way you edited it, it's a lot more slow. So you have more time to take in like the cinematography versus maybe other videos who are really fast paced. And then there's also a point where that's not a diss on anyone, more of a compliment to you, but your cinematography really stands out from the other videos in my mind.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think that has more to do, like, I think it has more to do with like the original thought than anything. I don't like, it's not a question of skill or anything like that, or like the camera or whatever. It's more just like having an idea from the beginning, and then like following through with it, which can be a bitch sometimes, but sometimes it pays off for sure.
But I think there's also a lot of things in urban that you can't really plan ahead. You need to be on the spot and have your creativity ready, because one shot that I really like is the switch cork 5 to hand drag revert, where on the run in, you almost think at the beginning that it's just a lifestyle shot of a church and it's good looking. And then whoop, Alex comes into the frame. Yeah. That's something that there could have been a shot of only the second angle where we see the whole shot. But then that first one, you really need to have that vision on the go and say, oh, that would be cool with the church and everything. And yeah, it's a hard thing in urban to think about those things on the spot, because it's not as if you're planning it a month ahead or something, or maybe you did.
No, not all of it. But we actually had some shots that we were like, okay, like for example, the ender with like the 14 kink was one of those shots that like I did a lot of in front follow cams for like the Bunch movie, Is There Time for Matching Socks, and then we just like had a vision of that we wanted to do that, and we skied that rail before, and I just knew that if Stockholm, where the rail is, if Stockholm gets snow, then we should go there. And lucky for us, Stockholm did get snow. And we just like, okay, Stockholm's got snow, let's go there.
And now it's time for a first sponsor break. J-Skis is a company based out of Burlington, Vermont. Their business model of making limited edition graphic skis that are sold online directly to consumer is super dope. As a fan of original graphics, I love it. They put a lot of effort into making great skis, but also in making them look super good. This season, I'll be skiing on the vacation ski, and I can't wait for some snowstorm to go and try them out in some POW. Support companies that support skiing. Support J-Skis. Tell me about that shot, because that's something that's so crazy to me, is that a lot of times a big part of the physical effort for a ski is for a team of filmers, like you were, is on the skier. Like
Yeah.
the filmer will be sitting with his tripod or whatever, and it's the skier who does 100 tries. I don't know
Yeah.
if people realize, but like I saw him on Instagram say that it was a 2-day battle. So did you for 2 days hike up with your camera and do follow cams every time?
Yep.
Dude, that's dedication right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty funny because we skied like the whole first day, didn't get, or he like got the rail but didn't get to the back swap. Didn't even really get to try the back swap, because he would like go off too early or whatever. And then at the end of day two, it was like 20 minutes of daylight left, and Hack was just like, yeah, well, it's not happening. It's that was 2 days, and we didn't get it, so that's it. And tomorrow is gonna rain, so we can't go back a third day. And I was so tired from hiking, so like I didn't have it in me to tell him to keep going because I was so tired that I also wanted to quit. But I also knew that we couldn't quit
Yeah.
because there was still like 20 minutes of daylight, so you can't just like try for 2 days and then skip the last 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And so I just told Hackle, like, you need to call Magnus. Because I knew that I couldn't tell him to keep going, but I knew that if he called Magnus would tell him to keep going. So I just told him, like, call Magnus, and he did. And Magnus was like, what? You trying to quit? You can't quit now. He was like, all right, I'll keep going. I was like, fuck. But then he like laced like 4 tries after or something. It was
Yeah.
insane.
That's the thing. As a filmer, you can't really tell the skier that, like, as long as he wants to continue, you need to continue and support him.
100%. 100%. And sometimes it's hard.
Yeah. So yeah, you told me something that's really interesting because there's a lot of details that people might miss of like every struggle that comes into play to film a real ski. And one thing you mentioned is that to film a good shot, you need some light. And that's always a struggle for any street skier, is to get your shot before it gets too dark.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like you guys have it even harder being in Sweden where the days are short early season.
Yeah, for sure. Like the opening shot was like really tough because we were in way north of the polar circle, so it was like, and it was December, so it was like the sun barely like went over the horizon for that period of time, and it was short days and hard trick and hard filming, so we were definitely struggling with that one. But then that also like kind of set the tone for the video, because then we had that like dusk looking shot, and we already knew what song we wanted to use, and which fit perfectly with the vibe we were trying to create. So then we kind of had this like silent agreement that no tricks could be landed like during midday, because that would fuck up the vibe.
Yeah.
If you would just like put a super sunny midday shot into that edit, it would be like kind of weird, it wouldn't fit the vibe. I think that's like definitely part of like, that's like a part of filmmaking that you never do with skiing, kind of, that you always do when you're not filming skiing, when you're like shooting a commercial or a story or a film or whatever. Then it's always like lighting comes first. When is this happening? Is it like happening in the morning or midday or at night? And that's like that's such a big part of the narrative of a film. And then we were just like, okay, let's just keep trying to get shots at dusk.
Yeah, it seems like most shots of your edit, if not all, are like, as you said, dusk, sunset style.
Yeah.
And it really brings in the mood. As you said, it's something that you rarely have control when you're filming urban. Like if it's sunny or if it's cloudy, you just deal with it because that's what's happening. But yeah, it's something that really added up to the whole edit.
Yeah, and that's like the biggest thing with that too is like filming with Hackle because he is so passionate about making a video project that is like that, that is like complete in a sense. And because a lot of skiers would be like, "Pfft, what do you mean? I'm gonna ski like it's sunny, it's nice. I'm gonna ski now. But
Mhm.
then Hackle has that like bigger vision than just the trick, which helps. Like you could like it would be really hard to make an edit like that with any other skier. I think.
Yeah.
Like for sure, there's tons of skiers with good visions, but I'm just saying that like
Yeah.
there's like Hackle's definitely a good guy to do it with.
Yeah, and you can definitely see something going on with you guys having some chemistry in terms of what you want to produce. Because there can definitely be some different visions or just some disagreements. Like, and to the smallest extent of things. Like last weekend, I was filming a rail, and I
Mm-hmm.
was telling the skier to wait a bit for the sun to come out. And then he told me a couple hits after, like, dude, I don't want to do that because when the sun's out, it's like reflecting in my eyes, and I'm having a harder time. So it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
just like the two different perspective of I want a nice sunny shot, and he wants like clouds so he can see more.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
So you talked about that first shot way up past the polar circle. Is that it?
Yeah.
I think you've like kind of struck everyone with 1,000 questions of like how did that happen? That shot. It starts off you're following in what seems to be a car.
Yeah, that's the first answer to a question. It is a real car. It's the camera is inside the car.
And then, from what I see, at least when he's landing, it looks like he's skiing follow cam.
Yeah,
Do you mind elaborating on that shot?
yeah. There's a handoff. I'm not filming from inside the car. Magnus is filming from inside the car,
Okay.
and then he passes the camera to me.
And you're like holding on to the side of the car as it's rolling.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was like that was definitely the toughest shot to get. 100%.
Yeah.
We tried that. We did that for 4 days, I think,
Of
before.
like practicing the like the choreography of the whole thing.
Yeah, because there were so many things. Because like we actually needed the car to go as fast as possible for Hackle to get speed for the trick.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like a pretty big gap to the rail, and then the car has to go really fast, and then I have to like change position on the car without being in the frame, and the camera has to come out at the right time, and like there was a whole lot of choreography going into it, and like the driver needs to know when to turn because like the car has to go out of the way. And yeah, it was definitely the most like I don't know how to say it, but like the most complicated shot of skiing I've ever done.
Yeah. And plus, going, doing a follow cam. Dude, there's so much stuff I want to ask you about that shot. Like, first, the car has to turn and not like crash into the wall you're getting into. Then, as a skier, you need to pass through the jump, which is like there's a doorway, which is super narrow, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't need to crash on that. And then you're skiing down a double stair set while filming. So it's like, don't fuck up the shot at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah, it was actually we actually did crash the car twice, but we built like a big snow wall like with like cushy snow so that if it would happen, because we saw in the beginning like we don't want it to happen, but it can definitely happen. So we just like moved a ton of snow into there, and it did happen twice. So I'm stoked to it pushed a lot of snow there.
And how was it doing the follow cam? Was it stressing you? Of like
Mm,
the whole fact of not fucking up the shot, but also,
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, we did it for 4 days, and Hackle like he didn't land that many tries, but I would definitely like there's a handful of missed shots, where Hackle did get the trick perfect, and I was just like we didn't get it,
mhm.
and that's like a huge thing too. Like that was like in like us coming into this project, it was like that was an agreement from the beginning. Like if we're gonna do this to the extent we want to do it, like we both need to know that we can both fuck up, just as like, because when you're trying to do like your best filming, then you're gonna fuck up shots like 100%. Because it's the same thing with like skiing. If you never fall, you're not pushing your limits.
And now it's time for a second sponsor break. Planks is a British outerwear brand founded in the French Alps. Yeah, you can ski in the UK, but you probably wouldn't. But these guys are still passionate about skiing, and as someone from Quebec, I definitely relate to that. They don't just make high quality, good looking gear that's affordable. They care about the free ski culture too, running grassroots events and sporting skiers that are some of my favorites like Woodsy, Lupe Haggerty, and the realski crew. Make sure to check them out at planksclothing.com. Support companies that support skiing. Support Planks Clothing. Because that's the thing, most of the time filming skiing is the skier is allowed to fuck up, because that's a whole part of the thing. Like as you said, you need to, for most of the things you're trying, you don't get it first try. You get it after 20, 50, 100. But the thing is that filmers can't fuck up. It's always the time. It's like, I don't care about to a certain extent, I don't care about the shot you're trying to get. Just make sure you get it when I get my trick.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of trust between you two to say, okay, you might fuck up some, but I know we'll get a sick shot at the end.
Yeah, for sure. But then like, it's even more like when there's a shot that isn't hard for me, then it's like you really can't fuck up, because you already had all those days when you like could fuck up,
Yeah.
So then it's like really pressure on. But yeah, a whole lot of fun making a video like that for sure.
Yeah, well, and there's really something to be proud of. As I said, like people have called it a masterpiece. Like it's the kind of street video that I think I could watch over and over for an hour.
Thank you.
Like, I think it's some of Alex's best skiing, if not his best. And then it's really good to see you evolved as a filmer, because you're really like I did a post on Instagram about that, but you remind me of Clayton Villa, of like in your own way of like being an extremely good skier and then starting to get more and more into filming, and then being like a kind of guy where you're like, well, he's just as good on both sides. So like, I want to see him skiing, but I also want to see him filming because he's too good.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. I wouldn't believe, if you asked me years ago, I wouldn't believe someone was comparing me to Clayton Villa, man.
Yeah, well, man, I was looking back through your shots, and you've put out so much stuff. Like, time flies, but since 2012, like, you've put out constantly 6 shots every year. So yeah, congrats to that, because like putting out one segment or two is a thing, but like doing it year after year is definitely a rare thing.
Thank you so much. Definitely, I would say that's definitely because of the bunch.
Yeah,
100%.
Having a crew motivating you.
For sure. And just like always having a crew, because there's a lot of people who are like stoked to go skiing, and then they just don't have friends to ski with, and then you get like, it's not as fun skiing on your own. So
how is it for you this winter managing filming some street as a skier versus like for the bunch project? Let's say, how often are you the guy behind the camera versus like making time for yourself to get some shots?
This year, actually, Ante Olofsson.
Yeah.
He's filming the bunch street project.
Okay.
So when I'm skiing, I'm just skiing, which is super nice, because I've barely ever had that before.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we did like the level 1 stuff with Pär Hägglund or some stuff for sure, but usually I'm like pointing the camera and skiing when I'm skiing. So it's really nice to find like people you trust, and you can just like go like just be skiing, which is nice.
So this year you're all in as a skier for the bunch movie?
Yeah.
Did you get some time to do a bit, or you've been all in onto the realski video as of now?
No, I've gotten like a bunch of shots that I'm really stoked on as a skier for sure. And then
Nice.
I'm actually going on the last trip for that project, like maybe the day after tomorrow or something. So I'm gonna stack a couple more.
Nice. How's the situation traveling wise for you guys? Can you go out of Sweden? How's it looking?
I'm not really sure, but I think we can go outside of Sweden, but I'm not planning to. I'm definitely staying here.
You have enough stuff to get what you want?
Yeah, for sure. I think Sweden is my favorite place to go street skiing.
More than Quebec?
Yeah, I mean this is home, you know, and it's like we know. I know all the cities here, and you like can find your way, and you can like fixing the winch is never a problem because you speak the language, and you can like get help and find everything you need to find. And it's more like stuff like that is definitely the hardest thing being abroad filming, I think.
Yeah. You did some trips to some spots that I wouldn't want to go. Like going to Russia to film urban seems like urban is already as complicated as it is. Going to Russia seems like another level.
Yeah, but then it's like I don't know the mindset because the thing is like going to Quebec to film street. It's like then you have the same mindset as filming in Sweden, pretty much,
Yeah.
because it's like you know the country, like you know a bunch of people there, and you just go, and then you like run into like language barriers that you didn't think was gonna happen, or like you know then like the smaller problems becomes a little bigger. But then when you go to Russia, it's like you go there with a mindset of like we don't know what's gonna happen. This is like an adventure type deal, and then like problems isn't really problems anymore because it's just part of an adventure kind of.
Becomes more of a exploration trip rather than like a classic urban trip.
For sure. And
Yeah.
I love going to Russia. Like second to Sweden is Russia, I would say.
What is it that makes it so good for you?
I think it's just that the adventure mindset I was talking about because it's so nice just going to a place where you like no one speaks English pretty much, and you just have to like talk with your hands and like try to figure stuff out, which is amazing.
Is there a lot of Google Translate involved?
Oh yeah, so much Google Translate for sure.
Because yeah, urban is already an adventure in itself of like finding a spot, shoveling. There's a really an uncertainty as to will we get what we want? Will someone get hurt? Like there's it's an adventure, and then you add on another layer of like, yeah, let's go to another country where we don't speak the language.
Yeah, for sure. I think definitely the the getting hurt factor is like maybe the thing you're most concerned about being in Russia because it's like you don't know what like where you're gonna end up or who's gonna take care of you. And like if you're in Sweden, we have great healthcare, and I'm not scared at all to get hurt in Sweden because I know I'm gonna get good care. But
Hmm.
if it happens in like a tiny town in Russia, it's like who knows, you know.
Yeah, it's like
That's definitely like the only thing that is like a little worrying, maybe.
yeah.
So,
I don't know if you remember I think it was Eric Pollard a couple of years ago who hurt himself in Russia, and like it seemed like something you never want to live of.
yeah,
Yeah, having bad health care and having to be heli carried out to another country, and then he had a lot of trouble with his legs. So yeah,
for sure. But then he invented, according to him, the best ski boots in the world that no one had ever done before from that injury.
what do you mean?
He rebuilds all his ski boots. So he like extends the upper part of the boot so it's like way higher than a regular boot, and then he has like custom made liners that are like I don't know 3 inches taller than the regular ones.
Since that injury?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then when he started skiing with it because of the injury. But then he just like I met him in Hood like a couple of years ago, and he just told me like I've been trying to pitch this to companies because this is just way better than having a shorter ski boot because you get so much more power.
Okay.
I don't know what you call it in English, but you know, like the classic physics. It's just like the higher up the force is,
Yeah.
the less force you need to like.
Like more leverage, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, way more leverage. So it presses, and just like you get way more power with a higher boot.
And now it's time for another sponsor break. Treefort Lifestyles is a company based out of Oregon. They've been involved in the ski industry since their inception in 2011 when they made their first pair of suspenders for skiing. They produce some of the nicest accessories you can find out there for your adventure activities, whether you're going skiing, hiking, or traveling. Plus, I've heard their famous suspenders are making a comeback this winter. Go check them out at treefortlifestyles.com and use code MERA at checkout to get 15% off your order. Support companies that support skiing. Support Treefort Lifestyles. Yeah, that's crazy because, I think maybe there's something like that in racing where you have your racing skis, but they also put a plate on your skis so you're higher on your skis.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like same concept.
Yes.
So, Russia is a crazy thing.
It's like my grandma always says. She always says, there's nothing bad that comes without a little good. Nothing bad will happen to you that comes without a little good, you know?
Okay. There's
So
always some positive.
If something bad happens, there's always going to be a little part of it that is good, you know?
Yeah.
So like Pollard hurt himself really, really bad, but then he ended up like inventing the best ski boots in the world.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
You're right. To get back to realski, as you said quickly, this was your third year. And from what I saw, I think you also were helping out before that in 2018 with Magnus.
Yeah, a little bit, not too much actually, because he went to Quebec for Quebec mostly, I think. I wasn't with him for that, but I think I helped out on a couple of shots maybe.
From 2013 to 2018, you did a lot of stuff, filmed some segments with the bunch. You filmed a couple times with Level 1, and then you got your invite for realski. Do you remember, were you stoked? Were you like, what was the process of getting in? Did you just get a random invite, or you were contacting the people saying, hey, I'd like to be in?
No, it wasn't, or I can't remember. I think I was like, asking people about how to get in, kind of. But I also, like, when Magnus got invited the 2 years before, ever since that, I was like, okay, I'm going to do that too. You know, it's just like a mindset, like, I'm going to do it. And then I just filmed and tried to just ski my best. And I knew, like, if I just ski my best in the streets, and this is a street contest, and I know, like, I should be invited, you know. So
the time would come.
Went like, just put my aim on X Games and never let it go, and just like, I'm gonna do it, and like saying it out loud, and like just thinking about it a lot. And I think the mind is way more powerful than a lot of people think.
Yeah, I talked to Casabon on the podcast, and he was saying the same thing of like, he wanted to do realski for the first years, but couldn't because he had other projects lined up. And he was like, the year he decided to do it, he was like, I am going to win it. And he was like, same thing as you said, a mind thing of like writing it to, like, I think he wrote it to the guy in charge at ESPN saying, yeah, I'll do it and I'm going to win it.
That's dope. Yeah, for sure. I think it's such a real thing. Just like telling yourself something's gonna happen, and then if you believe it enough, it's gonna happen.
So when you got that invite in early fall 2018, I guess, what was your vision like of how you were going to approach it and the spots you were going to? Because you ended up going to Quebec to film. Like, what was your plan going in?
I don't know. I was kind of like, I was a little shook, to be honest, because then like the year before I had like filmed some of the best shots I had ever filmed, and then I was like got the invite, and I'm like, oh shit, now I need to like do that season again, you know, like just like top up that last season. which was like scary. And I think it's the same for everyone who gets their first invite. It's like, oh shit, because you get an invite because you skied your best the year before, probably, and then you just need to recharge and like top it up. So I remember just being like, whoa, like how am I gonna like do this and be proud of it and not like go a step down, you know?
Hmm.
I think that's like the biggest thing. Like when you're doing it, coming out of a real ski, you want to be like, if you feel like that was the best edit I could have done,
Yeah.
then it doesn't matter if you're not even on the podium, because then it's just like a matter of taste from judges or whatever, you know. That was like my whole thing going into it. Just like, I'm gonna be proud of this video, and if I'm proud, then perfect. I'm stoked.
Yeah. There's a big part, as you said, of it's not even for other people. I feel like it seems like it's more of a personal thing of like saying, okay, well, this is a rare chance I get. I want to do my best stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
How did the whole process go for you, like in terms of snow, injury, spots?
It was pretty good. Actually, I was like in the beginning for sure, or like halfway through or something. I was really like in a dark place in my head for sure, because I felt like I wasn't going where I wanted to go, and yeah, I had a really hard time dealing with my thoughts during that process for sure. I don't know, when you start landing tricks you're stoked on, then like you catch a momentum and then you just have to keep it up, kind of.
Was it because you weren't getting clips, or the clips you were getting were not up to your what you wanted to do?
No, I think it was because I wasn't getting clips.
And how do you handle that? Because there's a lot of people that some people get like on one side where they get kind of depressed and like just sad, and then there's other that really get frustrated and like break some poles. What's your how's Peyben when things are not working well?
I think I'm a little bit of both. First angry, super mad, and then sad.
But what happens when you're an urban skier without pole? What do you break?
I don't know, man. You just break your mind, I think.
Tip for next time: bring in some poles, and you won't break your mind.
Yeah.
I'm watching it right now on my side. It was such a good year with real ski. The podium was Casabon first, you second, and then ABM third, right?
Yeah.
That was incredible. And as you said at some point, you said that if you're proud of what you've done, then wherever you end up, you'll be stoked because you did something you like. But were you stoked on silver? My question is, because between you, Casabon, and ABM, I guess it's so hard because it's all different styles. Like ABM is charging super hard, but then you're doing some really creative stuff. How did you react when you saw the videos and you knew that you got second?
Uh, I was I was insanely stoked on the silver medal, like so stoked, because it was an insane year where everyone had like crazy good parts. And I was like, when watching the videos, I was like, whoa, like that's a heavy lineup of videos. And I just remember I thought to myself, like, because Mango was in too and did like a crazy good video.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like 100% sure, like it was Phil and Mango first and second. And then I was like, I don't know who's coming up third, but maybe I have a spot at third, you know? That was, in my head, that's what I was thinking. Like maybe I have a shot at third place after seeing the videos. And then like when they were like doing the prize ceremony, they were like, okay, in third place ABM, and I was like, oh shit, that was my shot, you know. But then I was still super happy, even though I thought that I was not gonna get anything, because I was proud of the video. So I was like, okay, that's it. And then when they said I got second, I was shocked and super happy.
Yeah,
I think you can tell in the TV show too that I'm like really like genuinely surprised that I get second. You know?
like shook.
Yeah.
And now it's time for another sponsor break. Axis Board Shop is a ski and snowboard shop based out of Saint-Sauveur, Quebec, Canada. They've been in business since 2002 and have supported skiing since day one. From sponsoring numerous athletes to putting on competitions to helping out movie productions, they've done it all. Axis is the core board shop and they've got everything that you might need this season. Check them out at axisboutique.com or go check out their shop in Saint-Sauveur. Support companies that support skiing. Support Axis Board Shop. That's so dope. Like, I'm looking back right now, you have some really standout shots, like that little bridge, which I'm pretty sure is in Quebec, where you've gone back a couple times, I think, where you do a three-on to nose butter Barani out, and a switch. What is it? Just switch on to tail butter backflip out.
Mm-hmm.
That's so dope.
Thank you. That's the first time I've ever done a switch backflip.
And it's tail butter. Why not?
Yeah, that's the thing with like a lot of my tricks, because I don't know. I don't see myself as a super good park skier or anything. Definitely not a jump trick guy. And then so a lot of the tricks I've just learned them in the streets because I have a vision of something, and then I'm like, shit, I don't know how to do this trick, and then I just have to learn it on the spot because the vision needs it.
That's something that I saw a lot with street skiers, like never done a specific trick in the park, but this rail is perfect for, I don't know, a on that 6 out. Okay, let's do it. And they stomp it first try.
Yeah.
What do you think that is that makes you like land something that you never done in the park, but street is a good time for it?
I think a lot of it for me is because you like control your surroundings. Because it's like, if I'm gonna do like that switch backflip, I knew I had like the switch tail press, and then you can just like make sure there's a nice landing. You can find a spot where the height is perfect, and like it's hard. I wouldn't have been able to find that spot in a park somewhere. You know? Yeah. So I think that's that's a big part of it. For sure, that you can really control your surroundings.
Personally, well, I've never filmed, like I filmed urban, but never skied urban. But to me, it always seems like in the park, you're like lapping through, hitting different features, whereas on the street, you're like focusing on one spot. So you have more time to maybe think of something.
I agree with that 100%. And you're like, usually, like you can control your surroundings to a certain degree, but it's also kind of dangerous, so you're like definitely more focused, as you say. Not you're just hitting one spot, and the spot is probably a little dangerous, so you're like fully focused, and that's a big part of learning stuff. You just need to focus really hard and have a vision.
So for those two butter tricks, was it a scenario of going to the spot and thinking about it, or you already had those in mind and were looking for a place to do it?
No, I was trying to do a whole different trick on that spot. Like those were not planned at all.
What were you trying to do?
I was trying to I don't know if you've seen, but I think it's in a 32 movie where Scott Stevens hits that exact same spot, and he does like a nose butter with his tail tap. There's like a pole right there, and he just nose butters into it and hits the spinning one way, and then he hits the pole and pretzel spins out of it.
Okay.
And I was like, damn, I should do that on skis, And then I was like trying it, but that was like when I was in a dark place in my head too. So I started trying it, and without really getting I didn't even give it the tries it needed, kind of. And then I was just like, oh, fuck this, I can't do it. Oh, I need to do something else. And then, and then I just started trying those tricks, and it worked out.
Yeah, well, it ended up with something really special, and it's the type of tricks that are really Peyben style, because you've done a couple of ones through the years with that kind of with different butter pads, like I think in Russia and in Rick Scranton in different years.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool because you kind of made those your own. Like when you see a trick like that, you're like, yeah, that's Peyben.
Thank you. That's cool. It's really fun hearing that. Like, I don't know that someone actually thinks like that.
Well, it's the case because, like, I don't know if someone goes onto a rail and does a 270 on pretzel, it's like it's tech, it's hard, it might be a great shot, but you can't really attribute it to anyone really because
Yeah.
maybe Wallish because he's the first one to have done it really well. But
Hmm.
then those types of trick is like first you need to think about it, and then you need to actually do it because that's something that I wanted to ask you also is that you guys, well, you as a skier, but also your whole crew have been really good at doing stuff that I don't think people realize how much vision and dedication you need. Because in urban, there's always, even if you're trying a standard trick like a two on or whatever it is, there's always that uncertainty of will I be able to land that trick? But then you guys always do certain tricks or approach where you need to have that vision of, oh, it would be cool to do it like that, but then you also need to follow through and try it until it works because like you've already done 100 two-ons in the park, so you know it can work, but doing something really funky, you've never done it, so how can you like believe in it?
Yeah, I don't know. I think like within the crew for sure, there's like plenty of times where people say like, yeah, I think like this could work on this spot, and I will be like, in my head, like I can't see that working out. Like there's no way that's gonna work. Or like in my head, it's just like an impossible trick. But then on the outside, I'm just like, yeah, sounds like a great idea. And that's like just how the crew works. Like everyone just believe because like if Hackle says he thinks something is possible, then like that's his reality. And if he thinks it's possible, then it is possible for him. And that's how all tricks are invented. Like the Dub 7 was impossible until Frey Jönsson did it at JOI, and then all of a sudden it was possible. And 1 week later, people were doing it everywhere, because
Yeah.
it's possible. All you need is just like that same thing that as we were talking about before with like the mindset. Like if you think it's possible, then no one should shoot your idea down because if you think it's possible, it is possible
Yeah.
most of the time.
It's
It's crazy, and I think a big part of that, like the bunch too, is that if you're surrounded with people like that does new stuff or like in a certain way you are who you spend time with. Like if you spend time with someone, you're gonna get more and more similar.
mhm.
And then if you surround yourself with people who are trying new things all the time, then you're gonna be like, fuck, like I want to try some new stuff too.
Yeah, you're right.
And then yeah, I think that's like a big part of the bunch is just like everyone's always feeding off each other.
Talking about your realski 2019 still, there's one of the last shots where you hit a closeout and it's a really short closeout, double closeout, I'd say. Close out at the beginning and close out at the end where you
Oh yeah.
slide it, lip slide, grabbing blunt all the way. And I remember and still watching it right now, I'm like, this is a spot that requires vision because I don't think if I was with a crew, we'd think about hitting it that way. It's gnarly. It's something that you do it so flowy and with your grab and with the way it's filmed, it looks super easy because you're doing it well. But double close out with a big gap. Tell me about how you get those visions of like seeing that spot and saying, yeah, that'll be a spot. Like if I went there, that's not a spot for me. I don't think of that. It's just like too gnarly. Or maybe I'd propose it to guys and they'd be like, yo, no, let's do something else.
Yeah, I don't know. I always feel like there's always or not always, but a lot of the time you can just like ease into things because like yeah, it's a double closeout and it's like gnarly. But if you start it off thinking it's a wall ride on the fence, then it's not super gnarly, or like it's a little gnarly, but it's not as gnarly. And then you just like think about it like that, and then you start going higher and higher because then you're never like on the wrong side of it and get caught in the closeout.
Mhm.
I think it's like always a way of like going into it that makes it less scary, at least in your head. That's how I do it a lot of the time, and just like try to find ways that I don't think is scary. Start off there and then build into it, kind of.
Yeah, you're right. Because with your lip on, you were kind of staying. There's still some risks, but you were staying on the other side of the closeout.
Yeah, and I'm skiing more and more. Like that's it's been my motto this year. Just like low risk, low impact, high reward. That's like how I want to ski, because that's like the most fun way to ski, I think.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I don't want to go out every day being super scared,
Hmm.
that's not fun. Then you only get the fun part when you're like the adrenaline rush afterwards. Just,
Yeah.
then it's, I mean, that's awesome as well. But it's like most of the days I go out skiing now, it's like I want to have fun, and I want to, like, I don't know. That's just like my main goal.
Hmm. But that's a lot where your creativity comes in. Because in my mind, urban has a couple different things you can do, and you can add them up or mix them up. But it's, are you doing something big? Are you doing something consequential? Are you doing something really technical, or are you doing something creative? And then if you take out, the whole consequence thing of like jumping off a bridge, or the big factor of doing something huge, then it's like, well, if you can do something small but add up some sauce, do something creative, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I think that's like my whole. That's when I started skiing. When my skiing really started getting better, or like in my own eyes, was when I stopped trying to ski like someone else. Because like when I started high school, I was like I couldn't do any tricks. Like, because I was racing until I was 16, and like when I was 16, I had a 360 tail grab that was decent, you know.
Damn, we once were on the same level.
And then I had like front 270. I didn't even know how to do a switch up on a rail when I was 16. And then I just like went to a school where we met like all the bunch homies. And then of course in the beginning I was just like trying to mimic and try to do like learn all the stuff that the other guys could do, the all eights, practicing every single day to get the all eight down, and then all of that stuff. And then that was during the time when stepped were in their glory days, and we were like looking at those guys so much and just like trying to go bigger and bigger, and the trannies and gaps and all of that. And I was like really trying to do that stuff, and like Magnus at the time, and was really like he had the ability to do it, and I
Hmm.
was just trying to hang on to that level and try to do that. And then one day I was just like, why am I even trying this? Because I will never catch up. And then, like, instead of trying to catch up, I just tried to go a different way, kind of. And
Yeah,
that's like the day when my skiing started to progress way faster, because then I was like feeling like I was finding my place in skiing, kind of.
that's a really dope story. Like, I remember hearing Andy Parry, and he had the same story of like growing up with a bunch of really good skiers, Will Wesson and a bunch of other people from the East Coast. And that was his story also of saying like, well, everyone's doing 450 ons, and might as well do my own thing. And that's where he started his wizard tricks and all that stuff, because he was like, yeah, I'm going to do something different.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are like miss, or like I really want like young skiers to know that, like, because I feel like when you're 16, a lot of people are like, well, I didn't make it, so now I'm gonna stop skiing because I'm not a pro.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, I didn't, there's plenty of time to
Yeah.
do fun stuff. And I think especially in film skiing, it's like you can find ways to do stuff that people like enjoy watching, like way past 30, 40, 50 probably.
Yeah. As you said, for kids nowadays, I think they might see on Instagram like everyone throwing double 14s and being like, oh, if I don't throw a double 14, I won't be as cool. But the example I always go back to is Phil. Like, you don't watch Phil Casabon.
Yeah,
You don't watch him to see a switch dub 14. You watch him to see like a super good looking switch 7.
yeah.
So it's just a matter of standing out.
Mhm.
And right now I think people are missing out, standing out with doing dub 12s because you're not standing out doing that.
Exactly.
So yeah, that real ski segment was really dope. And your ender shot also is bringing back to the creativity. It's a spot that's been done a lot. That red rail of like flat, flat, flat. Snowboarders have done it, skiers have done it. And I remember when I saw it the first time, I think I messaged you and I was like, oh, dude, that's my favorite shot. Like, not only is it tech, like you're bringing it, that's more of a classic trick, two on pretzel. You're bringing it a twist, which is nose under, two on. Did you eat shit on that? Because it seems like a hard thing on the rail like that.
No, it was like not really. I had a hard time getting the rail for sure, but it was not like it wasn't feeling very scary because then it's like that's also a thing. Like people think that maybe I went there and just built a rail kicker that anyone could hit to do any trick, but then it's like I went there and I knew what trick I wanted to do, and then I built the kicker for that trick. So like the kicker was like I even rebuilt the kicker a couple of times because it was like too close to the next pole or like too far from the next pole or whatever. And then when you just find like okay, this is the sweet spot, then it's like just do a 270 and try not to think about your noses going in there, and it works out. So I think that's the thing with street skiing too, that you can you can build stuff for yourself that fits your trick selection, and then you can just make it way nicer for yourself, kind of.
Yeah. So you went to that rail with that trick in mind?
Yeah, for sure.
That's dope. Because in street, you can have a vision of what you would want to do on that rail. But then, as we talked before, you might have a trick in mind, but you don't know if you're going to actually have that shot. Sometimes you have to settle for something that it's a bit less crazy.
Yeah.
But to get what you had aimed for is nice.
Yeah, that's definitely a super real thing when skiing street, because you always think the spot is going to be way easier than it actually is, and then you have these crazy ideas like I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and then you try skiing it, and just skiing is like hard enough. So then you're like have to take 3 steps back, kind of.
Yeah, it's year 14 for me of like since the first rail I filmed.
Yeah.
And this winter again, I'm in the same thing of like, yo, that trick would be so dope on that rail. And then 3 hours later, we're like, yeah, no, it's let's settle down a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
So after that real ski, you didn't get invited again because you got second, and it's only the first one and fan favorite to get invited again. Were you bummed out of not having the chance to do it again?
Nope. I don't think I would have done it if I even got invited again.
Oh yeah, because it was too draining?
Yeah, it was probably some of the hardest months of my life, I think.
Damn.
Like psychologically, for sure. It was super tough, and I'm also like my biggest critic, so for sure tough on me, and I cherish it now as a memory, and I'm so stoked that I did it, and it was an amazing experience, but it's also it takes a toll on you for sure.
Being critical of yourself, are you still stoked watching it, or is there some shots that you're like, I wish I like? Is there some that have a bad taste in your mouth?
A little bit for sure. Not a lot. Not like I can watch it today and be like, damn, yeah, I'm super proud of it. But if I'm like in the right mode, I can be like, damn, I didn't really get that one like I wanted it.
Do you have a specific one in mind?
Yeah, kind of the lip slide with the blunt grab on the double closeout is for sure one of those tricks.
Okay. But I'm curious, what is it of that shot? Because when I look at it, as someone who wasn't there at the session, it looks like you held the grab for a long time. There was no waving. The landing is thumb. The shot is good.
Yeah, I was trying to do it to switch.
Okay.
And that was like the vision.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I don't know. It just wasn't working out, kind of. like one of those things, where you can't like I can't say like why it wasn't working out because I did it to forward, so I should be able to do it to switch. And yeah, that's just one of those things where I was like, but otherwise, I'm definitely stoked on the whole video.
Well, for whatever it's worth, with the blunt grab landing straight, it looks like kind of a shifty that you do, like releasing the grab.
Yeah,
Looks dope.
thank you very much.
You're not the first one to talk about how real ski is draining and how you wouldn't have done another one even if you were invited.
Yeah.
What do you think would have to be different to like be less draining on you guys? Would it be to have the whole season, like,
Mm,
or is it just like it would be draining either way?
I think it would be draining either way, and I think I think also it's like the first year is way more draining than the second, maybe, or at least that's like how I've seen it.
Because you're more into known territory.
Yeah, because like the first year you're so stoked you're in, this might be your only chance. You have to do something good with it. You don't know like how short 3 months is, and then you realize how short it is, and then that's like when the draining starts, kind of.
Yeah, and plus it's not 3 months of prime winter. It's November, December, January. So November and December can be shitty for urban.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. That you don't really know what you're getting yourself into before doing it.
Mhm.
Because I think most people doing it the second year have a way better experience than the first year, if you don't get hurt or like stuff like that. But if everything goes well, I think it's better the second year.
Because yeah, that's a part for me that always seems harsh for you guys is that even though your time window is short, it seems even harsher to. In a dream scenario, I'd say it should be like January, February, March. Because let's say in Montreal this year, we maybe had snow to hit street like mid-December. Like there was grass on the ground in November. So there's no point even of having it start at that time because I guess it might be the same for you guys in Sweden.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go super far north and find snow, but then it's dark.
2020, Hackle gets an invite and you're stoked that you're not doing it because you wouldn't want it anyway, but then he asks you to film.
I was hyped on that. Super hyped to film because I was like, way nicer than being in front of the camera.
Yeah, it's the adventure again, but without all the risks and struggle.
Exactly. And yeah, that year, that I was super stoked on doing it that year for sure. We had a great crew too. It was me, Hackle, and Kim for most of the time, and then a bunch of like some of the guys from the bunch, and were like coming in and out. So that was a great time for sure. And Hackle was skiing so well, so it was so nice to be around.
Yeah, it's definitely with the part you did this year, those two will stand the test of time. Like it's all time urban stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, and Hackle is on one for sure, and he's not slowing down.
It's cool to see him. Like
Yeah.
he has that aspect of being super technical and also super creative and also going big. It's like he's crazy.
For sure. I think he's definitely one of the best street skiers alive, 100%.
With the X Games, before showing the videos, they do kind of a 5 minute where they talk about how your video went, kind of do a little portrait. One thing that I loved seeing is that Hackle was doing a big transfer of a flat rail onto a double kink.
Yeah.
And he was saying that he was struggling to commit to it and try it. And he wasn't confident. And that you just strapped on your skis and tried it to kind of prove to him that it was possible. I'm like, dude, that's like the dopest stuff ever of like being a real one. Like not only are you filming, not only are you taking the energy to do follow cams because you're doing follow cams, and then you're like, yeah, let's toss the glide cam. Let me strap on my skis and try that transfer just to motivate you. That's, I don't know what that is. Is that like craftsmanship or like friendship? But that's just so dope.
Yeah. I mean, at the time, I think it mostly was like, it was almost like egoistic thing for me because I was like, come on, Hackle. Like we've been here for so long, like, and I was just like, at the time, it wasn't like, super homies, just like, I'm just gonna show you this because I'm just such a good friend. It was more like, I'm tired of you not doing this, and now you just have to fucking do it.
Was it a thing of saying, well, if you don't want to have that shot, then I'll have it?
No, not really, because I was just hitting it like 3 times and ate shit every time. And then I was like, oof, I don't want to do that anymore. But yeah, it was that was a fun day for sure.
Yeah, and once he got it, did it take a lot of time after that for him to get it?
Yeah, it was tough because the rail goes like the other way, so the impact on the rail was insane. Yeah, he does another big transfer on that in that video, and I think like the big transfer is way bigger, but that transfer is way tougher because the impact was just so heavy.
Yeah, the shot straight after that is another transfer where he does a flat rail and then drops like 15 feet to a dub kink.
Yeah,
That spot looks like a place where you guys had a lot of fun last year. Like
yeah,
now that I've seen your movie, it seems like did you have a shot on it? I think Kim had a shot. Crypto Skier got a shot on it. Like it seems like that spot. You guys, did you stay there for a week doing spots?
yeah. We did. We did a lot of shots right there, and actually, we filmed all of those shots in one day. I think maybe Hackles was the day before, but I think we started with Hackles that morning, and we got Hackles transfer shot, and then Kim did like uh, slid the rail up top and just like popped out and landed in the stair set, and then Magnus did like a wally backflip, and then Crypto did what we say jib of the year. Yeah, that shot of Crypto, that transfer, elbow transfer, is probably the gnarliest thing I've ever seen anyone do in real life.
Yeah, and that's one thing that was really cool of you guys. You did that with two spots, with the that spot and the other one where it was kind of a container to a down rail. And you take the time to let the video breathe and let people understand how big it is. Because sometimes you have a banger and you just hear people being like, oh, and then it cuts to dark. But it was cool to like take the time to say, hey, the gap was huge. The rail was high. There were metal posts in the way. Like this was crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot of Jens Nilsson, Jay Nilla. He did a lot of editing on the movie, and that was for sure his visions to put those parts in there. And it's such a good call because I think it turned out really well.
It puts context.
Yeah, it was crazy. That shot that Crypto got on the big transfer was that was pretty. I think maybe it was the first time ever that I've been on the sideline and just been like, I honestly really don't think you guys should do this. Like, because I'm scared for your health. Like, I like that's the first time I've seen people do a lot of crazy stuff, but usually I think it's like worth the risk.
Mm-hmm.
Since I ski a lot too, it's like I know where the line is, kind of,
Yeah.
where it's just starting to get stupid.
Yeah.
And then when they were like trying out, Crypto and Magnus was just like sliding the first part, and I just like stopped filming, and I was just like told them straight up serious, like I really don't think you should do it because I think it's too risky.
Mm.
Because like if you come off that rail, there's no way you're not gonna fuck yourself up with those poles on the side. Yeah, they didn't listen.
That's a thing that I've never done. Maybe it's because we've never done like that consequential of stuff. But as a filmer, I've always thought if the guy is confident in it, then it's not my place to tell him that he shouldn't.
Yeah,
Like if he's doubting himself, then I'll chime in. But if he's confident, then I'm just going along.
yeah. Yeah, me too. Like most of the time, for sure. But that one was just like, oof. I don't know, guys. But yeah, crypto is. If there's one guy who could do that, and he actually came off twice and didn't even touch the poles, and it was. I've never seen a man move like that. It was crazy.
If I'm putting myself in your shoes, I know that looking at the size of that gap, we would have just been like, yeah, it's not doable. And then even if we say, oh, it might be doable, then we look down at the rail and we're just like, nope, it's too fucking sketchy. Let's find something where we won't die.
Yeah, but that guy, he's built like a tank and moves like a cat.
On the Hackle real ski, the first real ski video, another thing that I noticed is that he does a, I don't know if you'd call that a nose butter or a peanut butter, the 900.
Yeah,
That's something that you did with level one a few years back.
yeah.
Was it like a Peyben inspiration for him?
I think for sure. And Magnus has done it too.
Okay.
I'm not sure if he did the 9, but yeah, he probably has. Yeah, we were still. He had that. He had that idea that he wanted to do that trick in a line, and I was like, you should definitely do that trick in a line.
There's also a shot in the Hackle video at the same bridge where you did the butter the year before, where he does that switch carve under the rail.
Yeah,
Tell me about that process of like the vision of that trick and the struggle involved maybe to get it.
yeah. That was yeah, super crazy because it's like so tiny, and there's like a behind the scenes shot too of Kim just like laying there on his side, because like just laying on your side. So he comes in, to people who haven't seen it, he just like comes in, hops around to switch, does a switch carve and lays down and slides under a rail. The rail is so low that if you lay on your side, like your shoulders won't pass through. Like that's how low it is. So you can't be on your side, like, and your shoulders, then your shoulders won't fit. So you had to like kind of lay on your side, but with your belly onto the ground to get lower and get under it. And we tried it one day, and the snow was too soft, so he like laid down and lost all the speed. And then we just put a bunch of water on it, iced it up so it was like more slippery, and then we came back the day after, and he did some crazy bails. Just like got caught on the rail and like held on to the rail. Like there was some moments where when you're scared and something happens that you're not expecting, you can do like unexplainable things, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not smart, and it's not the way you should do in that situation, but it just happens because you're in the middle of something you've never never done before.
Yeah.
And he would just like grab onto the rail and just hold on until he couldn't hold on anymore, and then that would like swing him into a flip, and he would just like land on his head down there, and yeah, oof, gnarly stuff.
Yeah. And you mentioned a cool thing that people might miss is how much construction goes into street spots.
Yeah.
It's not a, like, it's pretty clear that it's not a park, but people don't really grasp how much like details you have to do. Like the thing you said about the snow wasn't good, and he was, that's such a small detail, but it changes everything. Like he was losing too much speed. So then you have to come in with the water jugs, and like, it's a lot of fine tuning.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of, I mean, it can be. That's like every year I've been in the X Games. They just like ask that question, like, can you tell us a little bit about how much gear you need and how much work that goes into street skiing? And every year I'm like, you don't need any gear and you don't need to work anything, because you can just like go out with a phone and ski and film. But they never cut it in because they want to hear the story of how you make an X Games video, and that's like putting in 3 days of shoveling and having a winch and all this gear.
The question is how much effort each one is willing to put in.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you can go hit a down rail and not shovel the stairs, and
Yeah,
or you can tow in with a car do a follow cam with your glide cam, and like you're on the ultimate spectrum of like, that's why I have so much respect for you guys, is you go all in.
Yeah, for sure. But sometimes that's the thing too. Like we're not always all in, and I think I think you need to be on the easy side of things. Make it easy for yourself to start to enjoy it, and then when you enjoy, like when your enjoyment progresses, so will your dedication. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the more you enjoy it, the more dedication you will have for it. So I think it's super important to like go into it easy and enjoy it first, because then you will get your way into the dedication. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. So what I'm understanding right now is that you're fully enjoying filmmaking, because you really seem to be dedicated this year.
100%.
So now I'll be reading you some questions that people had for you on Instagram. First one makes me think that we didn't talk about enough about, is there time for matching socks? I definitely want to do another episode with you to talk about that, because it's a crazy movie.
We should.
First question is Laura Gogo, who asks, where did the idea to throw fruits at each other came from for your movie?
I don't know who came up with the actual idea of throwing fruit, but I like that whole segment had an idea behind it that kind of resonated with throwing fruit at each other because the whole like the name of the segment for us is the health gang segment. So we just wanted to make something that portrays being like taking care of yourself while being cool, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't get portrayed like that a lot. Either you're like smoking, drinking, listening to cool music, and then you're cool, or you're like working out in the gym, eating healthy, and you're a dork.
Mm-hmm.
And we just wanted to show our view of it, kind of.
And it really made me laugh, but in a good way, where in the movie we see Magnus at a spot eating a carrot. And I'm like, I would never think of bringing a carrot to a street spot.
Yeah, and that's like we always have carrots at the spot. Carrots and hummus, like chickpeas and
Yeah.
stuff, makes you ski way better than candy and cigarettes.
Yeah, that's what I'll try that. But yeah, for us it's like poutine and pizza, but yeah, that's the unhealthy gang. Next question. SLM Hanlon asks, what's your favorite film segment ever?
Oof, that's a tough one. Um, it's hard to say like a segment, I think, for me, but I think Interpretation is one of my favorite movies of all time, at least. And I think just like it's hard to say any specific segment because the movie is what it is because of all the segments, but I think that's maybe a favorite of mine for sure.
Nice. Maybe I'll add in a secondary question, which is maybe as a kid slash teen growing up, what was the one that like you'd watch on replay that inspired you?
Mike Hornbeck's Minnesota edit and Shay Flynn. I watched
Yeah.
so much Shay Flynn growing up; it was insane.
Yeah, me also. That segment in the '86 with that Kendrick Lamar song.
Yeah, but then I think I have like the Mike Hornbeck. It's called like Mike Hornbeck MN edit,
Okay.
and it's like a compilation of its street and park and everything. And there's like one shot in there that changed everything for me. Like I saw that shot, and then that's when the flip switched in my head, and I started skiing in a different way, kind of.
Which one?
He does like a nollie shifty to tail press to switch just over a knuckle on a jump. And I just watched that and I was like, that looks so good. And that looks like something I could go out and do tomorrow. And then I
Mhm.
went out the day after and did it. And I was like, this is how I want to ski.
That's so dope.
Hornbeck, the greatest skier.
There's a lot of questions about how did he made that first shot for Hackle's real ski. Like so many people wondering. We kind of addressed it, but yeah, you had people wondering. Like there were theories on New Schoolers of like, was it a drone shot? Was it two shots stitched together? That was
Yeah.
my thought because there was kind of a frame where it looks like you stitched two shots together.
Yeah, I'm pretty I was so bummed on that at first. The glitch, like I think it's a gimbal glitching or something.
Mm.
But then when I started seeing people writing that it maybe it's stitched right there, and I was like, okay, nice. Adds to the mystique.
Yeah, definitely. Felt Photographs asks, what inspires him and how did he get into filming?
Through skiing, and yeah, without skiing, I wouldn't have started filming. I don't think. I bought a camera when we went to school, and we started filming each other, and then it took on from there. I think it was kind of just a coincidence because I just happened to be the guy who bought a camera. And then because I owned the camera, I had to learn how it worked and all of
Mhm.
that. So that then it just happened to be me behind the camera a lot. And then I enjoyed it. So
Caroline J. Poole asks, what's the furthest / most risky you've gone to get the perfect shot?
I'm not sure, actually. I'm not, since I don't know, since I'm skiing as well, like I don't think any of my filming like compares to the skier's risk. So I never see it as a risk, kind of, if that makes sense.
You're used to living with risk, I think, being a skier yourself, so you maybe don't see it that way. But I saw a shot from Hackle where his 2021 shot where he does a like hip slide to cork 5 out, kind of,
Yeah,
where you're filming in front of him on that rail and you're falling down the roof as he's coming in.
yeah,
That's like there's a couple ways where it could go wrong.
yeah, for sure, for sure. But yeah, I think sometimes I don't know, probably like some like hanging off a roof or something like that. I think sometimes I usually bring my climbing gear and like hook onto stuff, and it's not always the most secure stuff, I think.
Yeah, that's something I never thought of bringing my climbing gear to Film Street.
Yeah, that's probably the riskiest I've gone.
Same from Caroline J. Poole. Favorite shot from Matching Socks.
The time lapse of the right after the health gang segment where it goes into the or actually, yeah, it's the health gang segment. Then there's like the big tent segment where we're hanging out in the tent and on the fjell and everything. And then when the music, the last song starts, there's a time lapse of a triangle mountain
Mm-hmm.
in the distance. That's probably my favorite shot of the movie.
Yeah, and it goes on for a while, right? Where at the beginning you're not sure what you're seeing, and then you understand it's a time lapse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that was just pure luck too. It was just one of those days where I just, whoa, that looks pretty cool. And then like the fog rolled in and the fog rolled out, and it just turned out way cooler than I could have expected.
You mind if I add in mine?
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
Two shots. First, well, three, but well, there's so many. First, the ending of your intro where Magnus does the fence flip out,
Mm-hmm.
just for the fact that one, it's a super banger trick, and then he's in a schoolyard with like 100 kids. It's like the most joyful urban shot I've ever seen.
Yeah, yeah, I'm super stoked on that one too. I mean, there's a couple of those where it's like I like them because of different things,
Mm-hmm.
and the experience there was like insane, and I love that how it turned out for sure. But then And like there's some shots of me skiing that I'm super hyped on, like the ender. I'm extremely proud of that shot. But I think the mountain is like the one where I was like, damn, that turned pretty nice.
And another shot that I need to give you props on is Kim Boberg's shot sliding down the stairs of the red ledge. It's a spot that's been done so many times that, one, it's nice to see something different. Two, it's something that I always thought of something like that could be cool on that spot. But then it's also a challenge of making it look good, like doing justice to that kind of commitment it takes, because he must have been going really fast into those stairs.
Yeah, he was going pretty fast for sure. So funny, as you say. It's kind of like, I don't know, Kim really did like, it's kind of like a staple of what the bunch has always been trying to do, like going to the legendary red ledge and not even hitting the ledge. I like that. I love that he did that.
And it's the shot is just so dope. Like he does the rail scraping thing that he does his trick perfectly. Your follow cam is super dope. And then at the end, there's just a second where you see him looking up with the big smile, like, yeah, I think we got the shot.
Yeah, that's like a thing that I love with, like, for example, you know, Will Strobeck?
Nope.
He films all the Supreme skate videos.
Okay.
And he is just like a master of capturing emotions after tricks. He just has like a zoom camera, and there's always like, that's the thing with having a zoom camera too that I love, because then you can watch the whole thing in like a wide, and then you can go like into a face shot when someone lands, and you can really like see the person's feelings kind of.
Yeah, I agree. Last one, Edvin.ahl asks, when did you get serious about becoming a pro skier?
I don't know, probably when I got my first contract, like the year after I started skiing with what became the bunch.
So what year would that be, like 2010, 11, 12?
Yeah, that was 2010, I think. Yeah, that was when, because I was like, 16, 17, like, oh, it would be so cool to be sponsored. And I just like started sending all these emails, like, my name is this and I come from here, and like all that stuff that I now realize, like being a person who works at a company with marketing, and you get like an email where it starts off with like, my name is Pär Hägglund and I'm 16 years old. It's like,
yeah.
Oh, another one is what I think people are thinking. I don't know if that's the reality, but
well, I think it all comes down to, at the end of the email, do you have something to show for? Is it actually good skiing or not?
Yeah, exactly. And then I really wasn't expecting to be sponsored by then, but then they were like, the Swedish rep was like, yeah, okay, we can get you some skis. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
If this is possible now, what's possible in 5 years,
So thanks for coming on the podcast, Peyben. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It was
really good to talk to you.
Yeah. It's a good thing you're stopping me, because I love talking about skiing and filmmaking. I could go on for 3 more hours.
Yeah, well, same for me. And I think we still have a lot to talk to about your filming and your skiing. So I'd love to do a part 2 with you at some point.
For sure. Hit me up.
Thanks, Peyben.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So this is it for episode 11. Big thank you to Peyben for hopping on the podcast. It was super dope talking to him. Also, big thanks to this episode's sponsors, Axis Boutique, Treefort Lifestyles, J Skis, and Planks Clothing. Peace.